What if I told you there was a kid's show where the letter N goes to rehab, a child dresses up as the funny mustache man, and a puppet throws up blood during a song about cooperation? No, I'm not having a psychotic break, and I am not talking about some insane creepypasta. This was a real show on MTV2. It was called Wondershowzen, and it is possibly the most unhinged, genius, and downright cursed piece of television I've ever laid eyes on. Wondershowzen aired for 2 seasons in the mid-2000s, disguised as a children's educational show, but it was not for kids.
Mr. Body, how does the nervous system work?
The nervous system is a complex communications web. In fact, I'll show you.
It wasn't for sane people. It was for the weirdos, the late night comedy freaks, the people who wanted their Muppets to scream about mortality and oppression. It was a fever dream that somehow made it onto cable. And it blew minds, crossed lines, and offended literally everyone. In this video, we're gonna be diving headfirst into the candy-colored hellscape that is Wondershowzen, where absolutely nothing is sacred. Everything was up for mockery, and comedy was used like a sledgehammer. We're gonna be talking about how it was made, what made it special, why it got banned from streaming, and why, almost 20 years later, this chaotic mess of puppets and public access footage still lives rent-free in the brains of every sicko who watched it. Buckle up, because this is the f***ed up kid show that shouldn't have existed, but we are so glad it did. And if you end up enjoying the video, please consider hitting the like and subscribe button, because I am a very small channel. We just hit 2K subs. I would like to hit 3,000. That would be so amazing. That would make my day. I love you guys. I love making these videos, and the more support I get, the more these come out, and we have a wonderful time. All right, please, you know, I hope you enjoy it. I really do.
You up for it, boy? You think you can do a C-section?
So who decided to give a puppet show a license to psychologically scar an entire generation? That would be these two maniacs, Vernon Chapman and John Lee. Before corrupting childhood memories, these guys were writing for South Park, The Chris Rock Show, Conan O'Brien, and just generally proving they were funny and insane in equal measure. They were part of the art collective called PFFR, the kind of group that makes you say, yeah, this guy definitely owns taxidermy and thinks it's ironic. In 1999, they shot a scrappy little pilot called Kid Show. The concept? Take everything wholesome about educational TV and absolutely annihilate it. Puppets, kids, lessons, sure. But now it's about war, death, addiction, and screaming into the void. Beautiful. They brought this unholy idea to the USA Network in 2000. Within 5 minutes of watching the pilot, executives said, nope. Get this satanic garbage off of our screens. Like, immediately. Like, fire escape drill levels fast. Now, that might have killed the show if this wasn't the early 2000s, when MTV2 was out here throwing literal shit at the wall and calling it culture. MTV2 was trying to reinvent itself as the weird younger brother of MTV. So when Chapman and Lee pitched it again, MTV2 executives looked at the pitch and basically said, this is horrible. We'll take 2 seasons. And in March of 2005, Wondershowzen officially hit the airwaves, ready to wreck your childhood and your worldview. And just literally bother people just trying to mind their own business in the streets. We'll get to that in a minute. Oh my god, it's so funny, dude. I can't. They even kept the name Wondershowzen vague on purpose. And also, I can't say it for some reason. Showzen. Wondershowzen. There you go. I did it. It sounds like this bootleg German show you would see in a hotel room at 2 o'clock in the morning. And honestly, that's kind of the energy. It ran for 2 seasons, 16 episodes total, unfortunately, plus the original pilot. Ratings? Meh. Cult following? Legendary. 3rd season? Never happened. I'm so sad about that. MTV2 pulled the plug in 2006. Apparently, they discovered standards and decency again. Or maybe Viacom got tired of the puppet on puppet violence, or you know, more appropriately, the literal racial slurs that they were putting in the show and violence And oh my god, dude, I am surprised they didn't get taken down sooner with some of the stuff they have going on in here. This is crazy, dude. But here's the thing. Wondershowzen didn't need 100 episodes, although I would have really liked that. It detonated comedy norms in 16. It was lightning in a bottle, or more appropriately, anthrax in a bowl of cereal. And when it dropped on DVD in 2006, it spread like a cult virus. College kids, Adult Swim fans, and future comedians passed those discs around like contraband. Suddenly became a personality trait. And after watching the entire show for this video, kind of part of my personality now, because I need to show all my friends this, because it is hilarious.
I am stupid. I am a dummy-dumb, dookie-headed poop piece.
So on paper, Wondershowzen is your typical children's TV show. Catchy theme, puppet characters, live-action kids, sing-alongs, cartoons, the works. At a glance, it looks like a bootleg Sesame Street, but it's not. At the beginning of every episode, there is a little disclaimer telling you actually exactly what you're really getting into. The show is too awesome for children. Do not let your kids watch this. You are a bad parent if you do. Or in my case, your parents are actually awesome for letting you watch this. Because it is utter and pure chaos, they are not learning anything but bad things. Because this show took every tool in the children's TV handbook and used it for pure chaos. Letters that drink, numbers that commit war crimes, and puppets that scream at you to question your very existence. Each episode opens with some kind of theme, you know, that generally they say that the episode is brought to you by this, and this. Sometimes it's like, this episode is brought to you by white people, or diversity, history, speed, patience. And you know what, actually, let's talk about the patience episode in particular real quick, to show you the levels of satire the show gets to. When they say it's brought to you by patience, they mean the episode's theme is patience. Every single skit for this fucking episode is drawn out to nothing. It opens up slower than usual. The Q&A segment just has the kids moaning and just like trying to figure out how to answer the question but never actually doing it. Chauncey just counts to 100,000. And then we finally get to my favorite kind of segments of the show, the Clarence parts. Clarence is the blue puppet, where he goes outside into the real world and generally bothers homeless people, or, you know, the New Yorkers just trying to kind of go about their day. But this time, he really tests their patience. Normally, already, he's generally just bothering people and kind of putting them in loops, but now, oh man, he's got people threatening to call the cops on him. He's got this poor guy who barely speaks English kind of on a loop. Every time he tries to get the guy to say something to the camera, Clarence just interrupts him.
What? Go ahead.
Hi kids,
One. Go ahead.
Hi kids,
Two.
it's important to be
That's good.
patient.
That's good, just like that. And then I'm gonna say 3, and then we'll do it. Here we go. 3.
Hi kids, it's important to be patient.
Now.
That's that thing.
And then this Asian dude, he gets to say patience back and forth with the puppet over and over and over again for God knows how long. It feels like it feels like an eternity.
Patience.
Patient.
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 Stop.
Patient.
Patience.
Patient.
Patience.
Patient.
Patience.
Patient.
Patience.
Patient.
Patience.
And when we finally get through that segment, a public service announcement happens. Sorry guys, we have come to the conclusion that we have been wasting your time and really testing your patience, the audience. So to reconcile that and kind of turn back the clock, to completely dismantle what we just did to you because we really feel bad about it, we're gonna play everything you just saw back in reverse as a way to take it back.
Monsieur.
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 So half this goddamn episode is the same episode, but half of it's played back twice, just at a slightly faster pace. And it's in reverse, so most of the time they're just saying gibberish. And for some reason, it's incredibly funny. The torture the episode is putting you through is somehow making me laugh. And no, I'm not done. I'm not done with the patience episode, because when it actually finishes, when it actually plays through the rest of the the entire episode, literally up until the disclaimer? Since we have some time left, we're just gonna blitz through another episode. So they play at 5 times speed, an episode which the theme is speed. So you get 2 for 1. You get 2 for 1 episodes. Lucky you.
What weighs more, a pound of muscles or a pound of brains?
Muscle.
Pound of brains.
Muscles. Muscles all the time. Muscles. No brains, muscle.
And that was the season 1 finale. You had to wait a whole year just to get the next season after watching that. But that's the kind of insanity you're signing up for when watching these 21-minute episodes. And don't get me started on the segments that they generally have in these. My favorites generally are the live action segments like Beat Kids, Q&A, and Clarence.
What is your greatest wish?
Dry sheets in the morning. I wish I had my innocence back. I wish the screaming would stop.
Beat Kids has a reporter that is a child go out and just say the darndest things, let me tell you.
Would you rather have your blood go to mind crime or genocide?
Neither.
That's where, you have the kid with the mustache walking around asking people very interesting things sometimes. A lot of these jokes would not fly in today's climate, let me tell you. Hell, they barely did for this one, considering the show got canceled on MTV2. How do you do that? Like I said before, Clarence, my favorite segment, he will just go around asking people dumb questions, getting them to say crazy things by kind of psychologically manipulating them in real time. He gets one dude to say that he chokes his chicken to his grandma in the last episode, which, by the way, the last episode is literally just Clarence talking to the camera the entire time. It's just one big Clarence segment. None of the other puppets show up. None of the other segments show up. And it might be my favorite episode. The dude, he gets a dude to chase him, and then just watch the clip. Just watch the clip. I can't even explain it. There's cartoons that are generally pretty funny too, but I also really like this classroom segment that they have sometimes where someone's on the television or in front of the classroom reading a book or just giving advice, and the kids and the person at the front of the classroom go back and forth. It's always funny. It's always funny. The editing was deliberately trashy, jump cuts, bad green screen, public domain stock footage. It felt like flipping through cable in a bad dream, but somehow it worked. It was ugly on purpose, like punk rock with puppets. They weren't trying to make a clean show. They wanted to make anti-PBS, the anti-Teletubbies. They wanted to weaponize childhood. Wondershowzen was a full frontal assault on our innocence. And it did it with crayons, sock puppets, and kids who, for some reason, were very good at quick comebacks when talking to adults on this Beat the Kids thing. I can't believe it. They must have been scripted. There was no way these kids were coming up with some of these jokes on the fly like that. I refuse to believe it. It's so good, dude. It's so good. So to summarize the format, the show will open up with the puppets giving you the theme of the episode. It will then play a bunch of different cartoon segments, puppet segments, children talking segments, Clarence walking out in the live world bothering people.
I have a free nana. I have a free nana.
Get out of here!
All of these relating to the general themes that they laid out in the beginning. It will then wrap it up, pretend to teach you a lesson, and then end. But that's the general format. It's just a bunch of segments, really. Like I said, built just like a children's show, but it's not. But you can't have a show without characters. So let's talk about them. First up, we have the host, Chauncey. He's yellow, fluffy, wears a top hat, and he is completely deranged. He'll introduce an episode like he's a knockoff Mr. Rogers, and then starts spouting existential dread, fascism jokes, or vomit blood during a sing-along about cooperation. I circle back to the intro, remember that? Remember when I said that? It's almost like I have a script in front of me or something. I can remember with my brain. The ideas, they're coming to me in my head. Thanks for the lesson, Chauncey. I no longer believe in society. He is a walk walking contradiction. Polite and violent, childlike and nihilistic. Basically, if Elmo went to like Vietnam or something and had a mental breakdown, that's Chauncey. Standout moments for Chauncey are when he finds a baby, like an actual human baby, and tries to sell it to an Asian restaurant and they actually buy it. But then he's hungry, so he orders from the restaurant and gets the baby as the food order, and then he sells it in exchange for power from demons after trying to drill a hole of China because they're ahead. It's a ridiculous episode. I'm not explaining it here. Drinking liquid imagination and completely tripping balls. And when the episode is historical Southern theme and he becomes a plantation owner and starts whipping his acquaintances. Yeah, Chauncey's kind of a dick. And then there's Clarence, the street interviewer, who is my favorite character of the entire show. A blue puppet with googly eyes who wanders the streets of New York, harassing strangers, oftentimes homeless people, with a mic and zero filter, screaming, "Why are you running?" at joggers, driving fishermen insane, and sometimes finding the rare gem. Clarence was the embodiment of chaos. His interviews were like a fever dream version of jaywalking on crack. You would think he's being funny, but then he gets so uncomfortably real, people either run away, shut down, or start oversharing their trauma. One guy was probably trying to get to work. 10 minutes later, he's confessing his fear of death to a puppet. That is the wondershowzen effect. The guy behind Clarence was a master of just manipulating people into saying whatever he wants, or getting incredibly hilarious reactions out of people. Again, that patience episode and also this actual series finale, which was just Clarence the entire time, are just absolute gems, and I implore you to actually watch them. I hope I used that word right. Then there is him. Yes, that is his name. A busted, gray, barely held together puppet that looks like a meat cone from a haunted gyro truck. He mostly screams, eats trash, talks in broken English like a caveman, and is the token special needs character of the show. A highlight of him's career is eating the cyst off of his friend Wordsworth when he had cooties.
Don't worry, him get rid of sores.
Him! Those are contagious!
Contagiously delicious. Boop, 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 boop.
And then he turned those cootie cysts into a cookie to sell to people for some reason, which actually worked. Then there's Wordsworth, who is the nerd of the group, as seen with his brain that is visible sticking out of his head. And he's red with glasses, which means he's smart. He will often monologue, deliver very dictionary-like sentences for all the smart people out there that likes big words and stuff. And last but not least, there is Schlugger. I think that's how you say her name. She's probably the least used puppet of the show. She's the only girl in the cast. Pink, of course, generally very sad, very emotionally unstable, again, of course, and she is usually the one trying to stop conflict, like in the episode where they're fighting the bootleg versions of their show. She's like, oh no, we need peace and stuff. Boring, lame. But those are the main puppets. Outside of that, there are the numbers and letters, who all have their own little personalities and looks. There's also Mother Nature, I guess, who was seen in one episode as a puppet, and she does a gender reassignment surgery on herself, which ends up taking her life. But then with Chauncey making love to her lady parts, which were put in a box, she becomes alive again and also becomes a woman again, saving nature. My phone just went off. This show is insane.
Breaking news at this hour. Due to a violent decrease in violence, graphs charting violent decline have themselves grown increasingly violent. These graphs have sharp arrows and should be considered dangerous.
There's the kids, the beat kids, and beyond that. They're doing little, Q&As and stuff, acting all cute, sometimes saying very crazy things, wishing they got their innocence back. The kids do a very good job here, and it's one of the few shows that I actually enjoy the child actors, probably because, they're basically playing themselves, right? They're in a very unique situation. They are on an adult TV show, but they're playing children, and they're supposed to be children, and they're actually children, but they're making adult jokes. They got 7-year-olds telling us bedtime stories, but the punchline is that everyone's dead, or life is meaningless, or they hate themselves, or they want their father back, or some crazy crap like that. And specifically, Beat Kids, the most dangerous journalist alive. One of the most iconic segments of the entire show. Adorable children go out with a mic, wearing press hats, and absolutely roast adults in public, or just say crazy shit. One kid just walks up to a businessman and asks, dead serious, how many people did you step on today to get that watch? And then there's Mustache Trevor. I don't want to say the H word. You know who I'm talking about, but like I don't know if I would get demonetized for saying his name because YouTube's stupid, dude. Yeah, MTV looked at that whole segment and was like, yeah, you know what, that's fine, air it. I'm not being a prune, by the way. In my opinion, it's fine. Like, it's obviously satire. Like, the actual guy he's dressing up of would hate this segment, right? He hated being made fun of. So, you know, this is perfectly fine in my book, but, you know, obviously television's different. You can't do shit. God forbid you even mention a thing that you're making fun of and, you know, you'll get yelled at for it or demonetized. That's why I'm not saying his name, because I'm afraid I'll even get demonetized for saying it, even though the whole point is making fun of him. Anyway, little censorship rant aside, we last but not least, the cartoons. They parodied old school animations, except the morals were always like, don't lie or God will rip your face off and feed it to a goat. Yes, that is an actual quote, and yes, I did just rhyme that kind of. There was Yuck Yuck Goose, which is basically Ren and Stimpy if it was illustrated in a nightmare, which is a crazy statement considering Ren and Stimpy was already kind of disgusting. But Yuck Yuck Goose, I don't even think I could show it. It's about a duck and his asshole that talks to him and is very, very well drawn. I'll just say that. And he goes inside his, you know, his a-hole to travel through time. And then he finds Albert Einstein, who, to stop nuclear bombs from being made, he ends up taking his brain out and shitting in it and pissing in it and vomiting in it, and then putting the head back, so then Einstein's all screwed up in the brain, saving the day because now the nuclear bomb hasn't been created, right? All in a day's work for Yuck Yuck Goose. I can't believe I watched this. There were fake educational PSAs that told you to give up on life or that democracy smells like doo-doo, all delivered in bright colors and sing-alongs. One of my favorites was Hebrew, and it's a very stereotypical man who sees a bunch of other stereotypes, and because he's afraid of them, he turns into them, but like He-Man. And yeah, that's all I'm gonna get into there because again, I'm on YouTube. Anyways, wondershowzen didn't just create characters, it created chaos agents. These weren't just funny puppets, they were blunt instruments of satire, surrealism, and psychological warfare, all wrapped up in googly eyes and foam. I don't know how to segue this into the next section, so we're gonna talk about something. I don't know, you're gonna find out in a second when the title shows up.
And using their 10 million volt taser cannon, which he's nonchalantly eating like the delicious wife my breakfast has never prepared.
So here's the twist ending you really didn't see coming. Critics actually liked wondershowzen. Like seriously, not ironically. Not haha, this is so messed up. They generally thought the show was brilliant, which I have to agree. Season 1 holds a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is insane when you remember this is the same show where a race war between the numbers and letters breaks out, and then we have a fake Romeo and Juliet romance between the Jewish J and a Muslim 8, where we see them banging on the screen. They gave this a 100. I think that is a season 1 episode too. Matt Groening, the creator of The Simpsons and, you know, more importantly, Futurama, since it's a better show, aka the Comedy Pope, called wondershowzen so weirdly funny the top of your head will burst and your skull will fly out. And if anyone knows about blowing people's minds with animation and satire, it is that guy. Even the New York Times and TV Guide gave it props, calling it sharp, disturbing, and weirdly brilliant. entertainment. TV Guide even listed it as one of the boldest shows MTV ever made. Which, let's be honest, that's like being the most unhinged person in a room full of jackass cast members. That is quite the title to hold. Now here's the thing, wondershowzen didn't pull huge numbers. It aired on MTV2, aka the shadow realm of cable TV. It dropped on DVD in 2006, like I said before, I'm pretty sure, but you know, I just gotta repeat it here because it does make sense. And suddenly college dorms, Adult Swim forums, and stoner circles all had a new holy text. If you knew, you knew. This wasn't something you recommend to people. It was something you warn them about. You ever watched wondershowzen? Yeah, brace yourself, buddy. And it didn't just warp viewers. It inspired an entire new generation of unhinged comedians. Case in point, Eric Andre. The guy behind the Eric Andre show, Eric Andre, has said wondershowzen was a direct influence. He said watching it blew his mind and made him realize, oh, you're allowed to do that on television? He basically took Clarence's street harassment energy, turned it up to 11, and added more destruction. And it shows. The same blend of satire, shock, and complete unpredictability. That's wondershowzen DNA, baby. And again, I apologize for not being able to say the word properly. I should have went to some kind of speech help class when I was in like first grade or something. I clearly need it because I can't say words sometimes with a Z. Anyway, back to the funny video I'm trying to make. Best part is, even the execs didn't really know what they had. MTV2's president at the time literally said, "We have never seen anything like this before. We have no clue what this is. Green light it immediately." And to their credit, they let the show go full unfiltered chaos. No massive edits, no neutering the content, just raw, unhinged, puppet-powered satire. Dark comedy aside, they didn't even pull the H sketch that I keep referring to until the Anti-Defamation League got involved. Because of course, that's the line. Apparently, puppets ODing? Fine. Kids in a 1940s Germany cosplay? Okay, now you've gone too far. Obscene, blasphemous, scatological, I can't pronounce that word, exploitive, juvenile, perverse. I do not mean that necessarily as a criticism. LA Times. wondershowzen raises the bar on shock comedy. The spokesman interview. A kid's show written by Charles Manson on acid. Some guy on a forum probably, I don't know. So yeah, critics liked it, comedians loved it, viewers were scarred for life. And MTV accidentally became the home of one of the most subversive, psychotic, and brilliant pieces of television ever made. wondershowzen may not have topped the charts, but it carved its name into the blackened hearts of every late night sicko who tuned in, not turned. Oh my god. And that's kind of beautiful. In a messed up Chauncey would be proud of kind of way.
Is that dick good?
Yes, kid. wondershowzen wasn't meant to last. It was too weird, too dark, too honest. It was a Molotov cocktail lobbed at the TV industry. And for 2 chaotic seasons, it hit. It told us you can teach kids the alphabet, or you can have the alphabet get addicted to pills and start a gang war. Your call. It proved you could say something real, while also making people laugh, cringe, and question their own morality. All in under 22 minutes with sock puppets. It was offensive, it was disturbing, it was genius. And it absolutely, positively shouldn't have existed. But I am so glad it did. My name's Dakosity. I really appreciate you watching this. I'm sorry if this video was shorter than my usual ones. I recommend you check out my Xavier Renegade Angel video since it was made by the same people who made this. Let me tell you, great show. I do talk about anime still on this channel, alright? I just went on a little Adult Swim spree. And MTV, I guess. And I might do a 2B Hero X video in the near future, probably like a month. I don't know. Don't trust anything I say. It's 12 o'clock in the morning. Like and subscribe, all that YouTube nonsense. Really, really happy we hit 2,300 subs recently. That's crazy. And I'll see you in the next one. Love you guys. I really do. I really appreciate this. See ya.